Now is the time. A time you'll look back on. A time you adopt as inspiration. You will recollect this time. This moment, right now. Motivate yourself towards success. Overcome. Take over. The time is now.
Our time. Get in. The Pete Davey Derby. Get in. Get in.
Love it, mate.
Love it.
Absolutely love it. I tell you what, look, for a lot of people watching this show right now, we're all buzzing with 3 points and the way in which we won the game. But if any of you guys know me, you know this game means a little bit more to me than anybody else. This is up there for me with a time weird derby, just from a personal point of view of being up there and wanting to beat these boys so badly. So I am absolutely on top of the world right now. Nothing could destroy my happiness.
Nice one, Pete. And we said a few days ago, we can't do this reaction show without you. So because this is your derby, you know. So just lucky enough, no one else could turn up anyway. So yeah, that was a blessing in disguise. But shout out to the lads. That they're all doing well. They're all doing different things. Chris is doing these prayers to the person, but I think he went a bit too overboard yesterday evening. But thoughts are with you, Chris. But shout out to the rest of the lads, well, Marty and Rich. But
Daz, I've got to say, we both know that Chris is a little bit worse for wear today. But honestly, I've never been so shocked in my life. I just finished watching a film on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called. Decent film. And I finished about 12:30, and to be getting ready for bed, and then to receive a phone call at 12:30 at night to an absolutely smashed Chris Hall, just rambling on for like 25 minutes about God knows what. And we talk about the game and all sorts. It was one of the funniest things. And then to wake up this morning to another voice note.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
I received the voice note, and it was like 2 minutes long, and I said, we could use that at the start of the show. But I said, no, we'll leave him. We'll leave him alone for now. If I'd known he wasn't coming on, I would have definitely put it on. But yeah, we'll get that on again. But quality from Chris, as always. But well, hope everyone's Christmas is going well at this stage. Early days yet. There's still plenty of it to go. I know some people are heading back to work, but there's still plenty to go as well for some. But as well as that, the Premier League is back. So all the action, all of it is on Prime, or Premier League Sport in Ireland. It's showing a lot of the games. But I have to hands up. I didn't see the game live because I was away yesterday, so I just caught highlights. I saw the goals yesterday, but I caught up on some highlights today. So Pete was at the match, so we've got someone that was at the match, so that's pretty good. But let's go look straight in with the team news, and I suppose the big news before the game was that Wilson was out. Wilson was out through illness, and John Joe Shelby is out with the thigh strain, and he should probably be out for 6 to 8 weeks, is what they're saying. But I'm just going to go for the thoughts in our chat then, because I know you were actually at the ground at that stage, people. The thoughts in our chat was, I know Chris and Martin were kind of thinking, oh, be delighted if we get a draw, because, you know, with Wilson missing now, draw would hope for more, but the draw would take that. I was of the mind I take the draw, but I think we have that little bit more. We could get a little bit more out of it and snatch the win. But what was your thoughts before the game, Pete? On when you saw the team sheet?
I'll be honest, Daz, I didn't actually see the team sheet purely because when you get anywhere, my phone service anywhere near a Premier League football ground is an absolute disgrace. I don't get any signal whatsoever. I actually found out through Lee Lawler from Newcastle Fans TV. He had a ticket for one of my mates who came to the game with me. So we had to go and pick up the ticket from him. And as soon as we got to Lee, the first thing he said was, Wilson's out. Shelby's out for 6 weeks. I was like, well, this has started well.
Yeah.
He was like, all right. We're literally outside the stadium. I'm like buzzing, thinking Wilson's gonna back today. We're full strength. We're on it. Blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh shit, what's going on now?
You've been waiting for this one since the fixtures came out, because you said immediately you look for the Leicester game and go, yes, Boxing Day, or Stephen's Day in Ireland, Boxing Day, that you don't have to travel. You can actually get to this one. It's so handy and everything like that. So high on your agenda.
You, like you said, mate, honestly, it was the dream fixture for me. Boxing Day, normally Boxing Day games are hard to travel to, but it's just right down the road for me. 10-minute drive, you're in. But yeah, to get that, I was a bit like, wow, okay. And then I thought about it, and I looked at the Leicester team, and I thought, no Maddison. Okay, that's good. But we had Bruno, we had Trippier, we had Pope back in, Botman, we had all those other players. Like you say, look on there. And I couldn't help but think, our midfield up against their midfield, we've already beat them once back in April. Can we do it again? And our midfield stronger now. And I thought we can win that battle in there. And it's whether we've got enough up front. And I actually thought, in the back of my mind, I thought, this is probably the perfect game for Chris Wood, because he's against two centre-backs that don't like the physical battle. They're like the more intricate, nippy players that they can deal with, but the big physical battle, they're not great, and Marty especially. And I thought that maybe it might not be the worst thing in the world that Chris Wood has started. But look, as I said, we're a quality side, and we're not fearful of anybody. If we're not fearful of Man City, if we're not fearful of Liverpool, then why should we be fearful of Leicester? And that was all my mentality after that disappointment going into the game.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's why as well I thought as well that we can definitely get something more than a draw, but I'm not going to be disappointed if we ended up with a draw. Well, nice that you mentioned Amartey, because he played a key part in the first 90 seconds. So Penno for us into 90 seconds. J7 brought down Amartey with a tackle on he's connected with his ankle. Up step Chris Wood, and we all know that he's absolutely lethal from the penalty spot, and he did not disappoint. Straight down the middle, he must have seen the keeper going, just moving, and straight down the middle, and 1-0 Newcastle, 1-0 up, and Chris Wood, and fair play to him from the penalty spot, he's lethal. And I'm sure there was I've seen a few videos back of the weigh-in, but I'm sure it was rock and then Pete with that start.
Honestly, Daz, the away end was outstanding, and I've had Leicester fans, people that I know and have worked and grew up with, that messaged me today saying best fans we've had down at Leicester. Like, one of the lads I've not seen him for years, he messaged me and he was like, I was at the game Boxing Day, he was like, your fans are unbelievable. He was like, your fans they just don't stop singing. They're just so supportive of the team. He was like, you know what? The fans are the real deal. And I messaged back to him and I said, they are. I said, but this is no different to what we were doing even under Mike Ashley. We're still selling out away ends. We're still travelling up and down the country. It's no different now. The only difference is that we're actually got a team to be proud of, and a team that's getting wins and playing good football. That's the only difference right now. But look, the Chris Wood goal, I'll be honest, it's the first time in a long time that when that penalty was given, I was confident we were scoring it, because Chris Wood is a good penalty taker.
Yeah, he is.
He knows what he's doing. When he puts that ball on the spot, he comes to life, and he knows what he's doing. And I don't know if you noticed it, Daz, in the World Cup, there were a lot of penalties taken where they were just smashed down the middle. I think Croatia did it a couple of times, actually. And it was a common theme in the World Cup. There's quite a few penalties hit down the middle, and it's that one thing that a goalkeeper will always commit one side. But if you can get it, smash it, and be direct right down the middle, 9 times out of 10, or even 10 times out of 10 if you're Chris Wood, you're putting it in the net. Really good penalty. And you know what? I don't know what your thoughts about this, Daz, but 90 seconds in, and you've got a penalty to put your team 1-0 up that changes the face of the game so early on. Not easy. No, pressure-wise.
Yeah. No, it was, and fair play to him. He holds his nerve, and he's never let us down from the penalties so far. And I think it's his 3rd goal of this season. We need to hear that voice note.
I don't think we get permission, Daz, to share that voice note.
Permission? We don't need permission here. I'm going to download it in the background in a few minutes, and I'll stick it on. So yeah, but I'll put it on for the end. Hopefully it'll upload. It doesn't crash my connection. So leave that with me, Lisa. You've asked for it. Right, we'll move on a bit, and I'm going to go to the next highlight I saw on my extended highlights session. Okay. Now you can correct me as I'm going here, Pete, but a Bruno pirouette. Bruno sprays the ball wide to Trips. Miggy was there with him. He kind of pushes him on, move on a bit further on down there. Miggy runs on. Trips gives it to him. Miggy cuts inside, and he passes out to Bruno. Bruno with a defense splitting pass. Miggy takes it past the defender and places it in the bottom corner. That's all on the 7th minute. So 2-0 Newcastle. Miggy with that 2nd goal, and what a goal that was! Here I play my little Miggy celebration, and this has got a lot of use this season. That Miggy celebration, and it was some goal, some move. It was just absolutely amazing. I know it was down the opposite end of the pitch from you people. What was your view of that?
Daz, I don't think I could have explained it any better than what you've just done there. Like the breakdown of the goal is exactly that. Just outstanding. Miggy's already won goal of the month. For some of the fantastic goals he scored in the month of October, if I'm right in thinking. But he's on his way to doing exactly the same again for December, albeit we've not played many matches in December. However, I just don't think you're seeing a better goal than that, a better footballing goal. And you talked about it, and you mentioned it, Daz, right from the Bruno Guimaraes, the other side of the pitch, where he does that little pirouette and he wins the ball, the opposite end of the pitch, in our own half, sprays the ball. From that point, he ends up at the next point in which he gives the assist to Miguel Almiron. The goal is just absolute top quality. I'm sorry. If that's Man City scoring that goal, if that's Liverpool scoring that goal, everybody's waxing lyrical. It's on the back pages of every newspaper. That type of goal. It's because it's Newcastle United that it's not being talked about enough. It was an outstanding goal, outstanding on 7 minutes to produce that type of quality. Unreal. And the question was, Daz, for a lot of people, not necessarily Newcastle fans, but a lot of people in general, was, could Miguel Almiron continue his quality form after the World Cup? That goal proves it. His form's here to stay. He was tremendous.
Oh, he was, Pete, and just some great team effort. And I was listening to you there, but I'm also downloading Chris's voice note in the background because I have to convert it to MP3 to actually put it on the system. So, look, it's his own fault. If he should have turned up, we're going to embarrass him here live on air. That's what happens. If you're not here, expect unexpected. Right, we move on. let's go to J7. And yeah, okay, 32 minutes. You told me it's 32 minutes. I had no idea what time in the match that this happened at, but I saw the goals coming through on my phone on the day. But yeah, J7 header from a trips corner, absolutely brilliant header. He just muscles the players out of the way. I don't know what defender it was, but he moves them out of the way, and 3-0, 3-0. And I think I had said in our chat before that, I said, if we go 3-0, Pete's on the pitch. That's it. I was talking to Martin and Chris. But what was your thoughts on J7's goal? And actually, let me play a little tribute goal celebration. There he is.
Little Joe.
Get in, Big Joe. Love it. Your thoughts on that one, Pete?
It was just a really well worked set piece. It just shows we've got strength in so many different areas. Great ball in by Trippier, a real hard and whip ball into the box, and he just arrives on the back post. And Samora is not a small guy, but he just brushed him aside to bullet that header in. And I have to be honest, that goal, and if anyone else was in the way and in the chat, you might well agree with this. It was a little bit kind of subdued, the third goal, because it was almost like, have we actually scored that third goal? Like, it was almost like it went in and we jumped up to celebrate, and we were jumping and celebrating and smiling, but still looking at everyone else was just looking like, well, is it a goal? We're all looking at each other because it was just so easy. It was just so easy, the way in which we scored. I'm just like, we were all like, is it been given? We were almost expecting the flag to go up or the referee to point for a free kick or something to stop it. But it was just such an easy goal to score that it was almost like that third goal. It was just a little bit of shock that actually, oh, flipping out, it's been given. And about 20, 25 seconds after, when we realised actually it's a goal, we just went mental, and the songs came in, and everyone was bouncing, and for the next 5 minutes on from that, everyone was just bubbling, because at that point we knew that the game was pretty much up. It was ours to lose at that point. It was going to be very, very difficult for us to surrender that lead at that point. But again, just brilliant football, Daz. Brilliant football. I mean, you look back, the whip ball in from Trippier, the bullet header from Joe Linton. We never score set piece goals, but yet under Eddie Howe, we seem to be scoring them on a regular basis. It's brilliant.
I know, it's not like our team. It's just it's unbelievable. It's hard to just take it all in, really. 16 games gone, and look where we are. Good news is Chris has uploaded. So we'll finish the match, and then we'll hear what Chris has to say. Right. Before we even got to halftime, would in my highlights, I would try to kind of, I'm going to call it, lob the keeper after Willock pulled the ball back. But that could have gone in as well. But we'll take 3-0 at halftime. Here's 3-0 at halftime against Leicester away from home. Leicester, not long ago, they were Premier League champions, and then look what we're doing to them at halftime in their ground. Right. So in the second half, and you'll have to jump in here, Pete, because in my highlights, there was Botman's volley that went over the top. There was a scramble in our penalty box as well in the second half, where Byrne and Botman and Barnes was involved as well. It kind of trickled out wide. I missed it in the first half, where Pope kind of did a save on Daka as well. And he kind of Daka kind of falls over. He takes a tumble, and Botman clears it off the line. That would have been down your end, actually. Was there a bit of panic for that one?
You know what? It was a bit of yeah, there was a little bit of panic, because it was kind of one of the first times that they actually got in and behind us. But to be fair, it just shows the quality of what we've got in that back line, that back five. Am I right in thinking there was a lot of people that were saying that was a penalty?
Well, I wasn't listening to it live, ranting, but so I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that there was a lot of Leicester.
Called for penalty. Yeah, I said the word.
They were calling it, and I did manage to catch it back on
Prime.
Amazon Prime, and Emily Heskey. There was Emily Heskey and Shay Given that were kind of those representatives that were banging on.
That's interesting. Heskey, who was former striker, and Given former keeper. I'm sure Given was saying no penalty, and Heskey was saying penalty. Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly how it went, and it was just like, to be fair, Emily Heskey, for everything that I watched, I've not watched it all. Everything that I heard from him was so biased towards Leicester. And you kind of expect it to a point, but like at one point, Shay Given's kind of like, "Come on, like we're 3-0 up. Like, how can you say?" Like, because he was just so negative towards Newcastle. He wasn't giving Newcastle any kind of respect or like kind of acknowledging the fact that we were playing fucking class and we're 3-0 up. It was just like, yeah, Leicester will get back in the game, blah, 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 blah. It was just all rubbish. He said it was a penalty, but when you look at it again, how can it be a penalty? Daka's actually got his shot away. He's got his shot away, but Pope saved it with his legs. It's bounced up and hit Daka, and then obviously rolled towards goal, and Botman's cleared it. If Pope had come and cleared out Daka without Daka getting a shot away, and then hit him, it probably would have been a penalty. But the fact that Daka's got a shot away and Pope saved it, it becomes a non-factor. It was never ever a penalty off the back of that, never. So for me, it was just a great piece of defending, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it was from our Rolls Royce and our legendary keeper. Right, yeah, as I mentioned, there was a few things. Botman volley over the top, the scramble with Barnes, Byrne, and Botman. Leicester did have more chances in the second half, but they did mix it up a bit. I think they brought on Vardy in that second half as well. Iheanacho and Vardy had chances as well, but both were offside. But that's all really in the highlights I saw. But maybe you saw a bit more, Pete, when you were there and watched it back again. Anything to talk about in that second half?
The one thing to talk about is that it was a very professional performance, a very, very professional performance by a team that is well drilled by Eddie Howe and his coaching staff. For me, I don't know if anyone else in the chat feels any differently, but we were never really under any serious pressure for any period of time throughout the game. There was one or two like moments here and there. I think Vardy coming on gave them something different. I think Daka was absolutely bullied first half by Sven Botman in particular, but Shaw also did a job on him too. And they brought Vardy on, and Vardy gave something a little bit different to Leicester. He pulled Botman into the channels, but as Botman normally does, he recovers really well, and we had good covering and behind him. So anything that did get crossed in, I think Vardy had a couple of crosses early in the second half that went across goal, but we had it so well marshalled that no one was ever going to get on the end of it from a Leicester point of view. It was just really well defended. And it was about, can we keep possession? Can we stop them from playing? And what I'll say to you, Daz, and you may have seen, from bits that you've watched, is that we just did not ever give it up. We didn't ever give it up. But yeah. Going on to Yano's point.
Love that.
To be fair, like, Yano's always got it in for me. I have no idea why, but we've just won a fantastic game 3-0, and the first thing he puts on the chat is that, like, I'm living rent free in his head right now, and I have no idea why, because I've never said anything against him. But yeah, fair enough. Whatever. I didn't like the fact that you mentioned about my profession, though. I thought I was a little bit disrespectful in the comments on the YouTube channel. But by the by, you're a spanner. Fair enough. And we move on. But yeah, going back to the point, I genuinely think that that we just marshaled the game really well, and we were very, very good with regards to managing the game. And actually, there were moments in the second half where we could have made it 4, we could have made it 5. And going on to the point that I was going to make, you get to 70 minutes, you get to 80 minutes, you get to 90 minutes. We are relentless, Daz. Honestly,
Yeah, no.
honestly, watch if you ever get a chance to watch that game back, you watch it at 70, 80, and 90 minutes. We are non-stop pressing. We don't give them a second on the ball. We never ever do anything to give them any reason to think that they're still in this game. And we make subs. We change the game. We bring other players on. Matt Ritchie comes on. Anisette Maximin comes on. It doesn't make a difference. We press, we make it difficult, we push them up the other end of the pitch. It is constant. And this is why teams and fans of opposition, they point the finger at Newcastle and go, oh, yeah, they're doing all right. They'll drop off. And then they play us and go, you're the real deal. Because they realise that actually it's not just about luck. It's not just about getting a goal from here or there. We are doing it for 90 minutes, 93 minutes. We did it for yesterday. Absolutely spot on.
No, and you're right, Pete. No, it kind of answers the question that we all had. When we come back after the World Cup, what kind of are Newcastle going to be able to take it up and let them pick up where they left off? And they just proved it to us and proved it to everyone. They haven't. They haven't stopped. If anything, they got better since the break. So all good, all good. Now let me see where we go next. Yeah. So then, of course, there's the obligatory team shot. Always love these, and of course, as always, you can see anyhow. You can just always barely see him. He's in the back, not taking any the plaudits, putting all his team in front, the squad and his coaching staff, and yeah, love these. Long may they continue into 2023, and maybe one of Leeds as well. It'd be nice, or for a game against Leeds at home. But that is the game. Before we even talk about ratings, maybe it's time to bring on Chris and his thoughts. Chris will love this. He'll appreciate this. So here's Chris. Hopefully it works.
We've got Bruno in the middle. He knows exactly what we need. Botman at the back. Isaac in the sack. Newcastle's going to win the Premier League. Boys, do you know what? Do not worry. Eddie and the owners and everybody else will have it all planned out. Gakpo goes to Liverpool. Fucking whatever. We have a plan. We will sort it out. Boys, I'm not being funny. That 3-0 win against Liverpool, against Leicester, that's unbelievable. As Martin said, we weren't expecting it. We've just took Leicester to the Swords, who've been in fantastic form, and we've just gone to their gaff and fucking beat them 3-0. We've got we've got Leeds next game. Unbelievable. As you can probably tell, it's 1:20 in the morning. I'm blasted, but I am absolutely buzzing. We are fucking flying, and if we can continue, as Martin said, it was such a professional performance. Like, fucking even at 2-0, I was thinking to myself, are we going to make this 3 or 4? Like, not for 1 minute did I think, oh, fucking, Leicester are going to come back into it. Because we managed the game. We managed it so well. I thought we were brilliant. And, I can't wait for the match reaction tomorrow. I thought we were absolutely brilliant. Like, even second half, 3-0 up at half time, but we managed the game. We did what we needed to do. We restricted Leicester, and we fucking come away not only with 3 points, but a clean sheet. It's fucking brilliant. Forget Liverpool, forget Arsenal. Fucking, we are the Toon, and we are fucking flying. Yes, boys.
Lovely. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris.
I can't believe you did that, Dad.
Chris took the night shift last night. He got his bit in the night shift. So thanks, Chris. I'm sure he'll thank me later. Right. Look, he didn't sound too bad, so it's okay. It's okay. I wouldn't have put it on if he did. But let's look at the league table. There we are, up in the second spot, where we should be, where we all thought we'd be at the start of the season. Yeah. But yeah, question here, Pete. It's a question you put to me before, so I'm going to put it back to you again. Start of the season, we're thinking top 8, and 8th wouldn't even get us into Europe, right? Then later on in the season, we're thinking Europe. Then we're thinking, can we maintain top 4? Now we're thinking, can we win the league and can we win the cup? So that's the question: can we win the league? Do the league and cup double even? What are you thinking?
Look, it's become a bit of a question certainly after the performance yesterday. But as you said, we had this conversation even before the Leicester game. You know, can we genuinely win the league? Now, what I will say is that, you know, Brendan Rodgers mentioned it after the game yesterday, and a lot of other people are now mentioning it. Is that, are we title contenders? We're in the race. Because we're second in the league. So you have to be in the race. You know, it's as simple as that. 16 games in and second in the league, you are in the title race. Now, can we sustain it? I personally think, and I said it to my mate, for argument's sake, because his name's Chris as well, I'll just call him Ricey. But I said to Ricey yesterday, our form in January, if we can get to January and still be in and around Man City and Arsenal, either in second or third, I think we're in a title race if we can get to that point. I think, if I'm right in thinking, we play West Ham at the beginning of February. We have the likes of Leeds next, Palace after that, Fulham at home, and then I think we might have one other game, and then we've got West Ham. If we can get to that point, we're in a title race. You can't get to February of any season and not be considered Palace in a title race. Yeah, is it Palace after Leeds?
Yeah.
It's Leeds, Arsenal, then Palace. I think it is.
No, Leeds, Arsenal. These are just the Premier League games now. So Leeds, Arsenal, Fulham, Palace, West Ham, Bournemouth. That's where we're going.
Yeah. Sounds about right, mate. And yeah, I just think that if we can get through January and still be within that conversation, and I'm not saying we're going to win every game. The Arsenal Leeds the game, I'm confident. I'll be honest. I'm confident we're going to win that at St James's Park. Arsenal is the test at the Emirates. That's the big one. If we go there and get a point, if we go there and win, if we go and come away from the Emirates without losing, I think we're banging the race. We're banging the race. There's no doubt about it. And I just think that, you know, do we expect to win the league? Of course we don't. But for as long as we're up there in the top 3 chasing the likes of Man City and Arsenal, we're definitely in the race. And why not enjoy that? Why not enjoy the fact that we're up there challenging those boys? And you've got the likes of Man U and Liverpool and all the rest of them, Chelsea in 8th place, as you can see on there right behind us. Why not enjoy that moment? For me, title race, definitely. Can we win the league? As I've said to you, let's wait until the end of January and I'll probably give you a more definitive answer on whether we can do that or not.
I'm going to answer the question as well. Because I originally said top 8 and I'm happy, and 8th or higher, I'm happy, and I still would be. Okay, now you're thinking, if you actually landed in 8th, you would probably be disappointed now at this stage. The way we're going and the intensity we're showing and the no let up. I'm a bit worried that I'm not worried about playing Leeds and that I'm expecting to win, because that's when when it'll hurt me that if we don't win, because I don't know, I'm still in the old days of always be worried about every match, and you need to get to 40 points and blah 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 blah, that kind of mentality. But um we should beat Leeds. I agree. We should beat Leeds. The big one then is Arsenal. If we do beat Arsenal, then I would say we're definitely in the race. But I don't want to be thinking like that though, because then I'll start to get pissed off later on down the line. If things could fall apart first, I like to think that we can make top four, and that's the kind of where my head's at, and I'll be absolutely delighted if we make top four. Anything else on top of that is an unbelievable bonus, like winning a cup or winning the league. It's just laughable. It's and that's the way I want to stay. I don't want to allow myself to think anything else, because I'll just be pissed off. And I want, because from where I set off at the start of the season, from thinking top 8, I want to take it like that. So I don't want to be coming into the finish second, not winning the league and being disappointed. I don't want to be like that, because that's just nuts, from where we were and where we started off. So that's just my own personal thoughts on it to keep myself grounded.
Yeah, fair play. I think that's more than fair, is to be that grounded, because you don't want to get carried away with it. This is the thing. I think George Colkin said this a few weeks ago. Is that you don't want to get yourself carried away and then expect, for example, top 4 or challenge for the title, and then you finish 6th or 7th and you still get European football, but you're disappointed. Because as you said, you'd have took top 8, and in top 8 we finish 8th, we don't get European football, but would have been happy with that at the beginning of the season. So it's kind of like you've got to find yourself that ground where you kind of keep yourself level, and so I completely agree with that, Daz, 100%.
Cool. So that's how the league table is looking, and long may it continue those green ticks coming for us, because lovely to see. And I see Chelsea seem to be winning 2-0 there against Bournemouth, but so I'm sure they will come back into it. I know they're making moves in the transfer market. Some players that we looked at in the past, and obviously as Chris alluded to in his message to us, Liverpool are making strides in the transfer market as well. They're getting Cody Gakpo, a player that we talked about, but I don't think we ever really thought he would be coming to us, really. I thought back when he was linked to Leeds and Southampton, you were thinking, yeah, why not? We take him. But when Man United and Liverpool are getting in the mix, I'm not saying that we couldn't blow them out of the water, which we could, but I don't know. I think I'd rather someone else. So let's see who we do end up, or if we do end up bringing someone. And of course, we're going to have to mention him, Pete, because Madison was in the crowd yesterday. You saw, you weren't sitting beside him, aren't you? Were you?
No, unfortunately, but you know what? I did see a couple of pictures in a couple of. To be fair, Amazon Prime, that they kind of cut a picture to him, or cut a little few second clip of him in the stands. And I don't know about anybody else in the chat, and I don't know whether you saw it, Daz, but certainly from the video, not necessarily a picture. But it almost felt like it was forced. Like he was there and he was like, like that. But you can tell there's a little grin to him. There's a little grin. I don't know, but someone watch it back, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And that's fair enough. But it's almost like he's sitting there and he's like, and he's kind of shaking his head, but he's doing this, and he's puffing his. But you can always see there's a little bit of a grin there. I'm not saying that's anything transfer related, but it might just be because he may be the type of guy that not likes the fact that they're losing, but it just shows his importance to the team, and that with that one player missing, they're not the same team. And maybe it might have been a little bit of that. Maybe it was something else. Maybe it's Trippier's promised him he was going to do something in the game, and he does it, and he kind of has a little smile to himself. I don't know, but it was a little bit. It was just funny that it just felt a little bit forced to me. That desperate look of frustration because Leicester were getting smashed. Because personally, from what I saw on that clip, I didn't believe it. Could be wrong.
It was a still picture I saw, so I didn't get to see the animation. But yeah, who knows? It could be like there's, as we've seen, there's teams that have deals done and it's getting announced now. Liverpool, case in point. But so who knows?
John asks, well, he doesn't ask a question, but he makes a point, and it's a really good point. And I honestly thought we might struggle yesterday. Leicester have been on decent form with a good defensive record. He's absolutely right, Daz. And, Leicester have been on form. From your perspective, Daz, did you think that it was going to be a tough game before?
Yeah. I did, to tell you the truth, because okay, at the start of the season Leicester started so poor, but there was a bit of a resurgence about them, and I thought it was going to be a tough game, especially with us coming back. We didn't know what to expect really from our lads. It all had gone so to plan before the World Cup break. That how are they going to hit the ground running, and then with Wilson missing, how is Chris Wood going to do? Is he going to? Are we going to be struggling to try and score a goal? That kind of mentality was about me. But blowing them apart in the first 90 seconds and 7 minutes with being 2-0 up, that turned the tide a bit. So I don't know. It's back to Rodgers is probably watching his back again now, because they were calling for his head at the start of the season, and I'm sure they're not far off doing the same again now.
Yeah, very expensive manager. In terms of Rodgers, in terms of what they pay him, I think they pay him a lot more than what we pay Eddie Howe. An expensive squad that's been assembled with players that have been signed. The players that they've signed, they're not all cheap. They spent a lot of money on them, even the ones that started yesterday. So all of that, and you come together. They had a couple of fifth place finishes back to back. Leicester are not any pushover, but we made it easy. We made it look easy. And Daz, you've just said it. You thought it might be a difficult game. I thought it would be. It definitely didn't prove that way, and it's just because of how we set up our team and what Eddie Howe's doing it. So, but it's a good point to make, John. I agree with that point. And yes, Russ.
Of course.
Jamie Vardy, as well. His lassie is definitely a grass, and we made that very, very clear when he came on at half time. Sorry, Naz.
No, there's a thing on Sky as well about that drama, that Colleen Mooney and Rebecca Vardy thing. But we play Leicester again on the 10th of January, but we're going to be at home this time. So, Jesus.
What do you think, Daz? You worried?
No, I'm not worried. I'm not as worried this time. And we could have Isak back as well at that stage, and Wilson hopefully will be back in the Leeds game. So, and you never know, at that stage we could have more signings as well. So, no, I'm not worried.
Very quickly, got to give a shout out because I know he's watching because he just messaged me now. Jordan Cronin, Good to didn't get a chance to meet him yesterday. I was going to catch up with him before the game, but he was stuck in traffic. I think it was an accident on the motorway. But glad you made it on time, game time. I'm sure he enjoyed the game in the away end. And Jordan will be back with us really soon. So just from his loaded boys, important we give him a shout out because he's a big part of the channel.
Of course, Jordy thought it was 4-0 in his match reaction. If you watch the little video, and of course, he has nothing but praise for, of course, and he was best man at his wedding, of course, because Chris Wood, his buddy Chris Wood, all praise for Chris Wood. It's amazing how that changed. But shout out to Jordan. We'll hope to see you soon back unloaded on the fully loaded transfer, or talk of the tune or whatever it might be. You're always more than welcome, mate. But let's go to the ratings, Pete. And you're the only one going to give the ratings today. I can't give the ratings because I didn't see the full game, so it would be unfair of me. So whatever rating you give, that is on behalf of Loaded. Unless Chris is going to drop us another voice note.
No pressure. They're going to be high ratings. Look, I'm just going to put that out there. So anyone that disagrees, that's fair enough. Everyone's got different opinions, but they're all going to be high ratings for me because why would they not be?
Take us away.
Okay, so yeah, leave that bad boy up because I'll run through it. So Nick Pope, another clean sheet. That Jamie Vardy save, I don't know if you've seen it, Naz. The Jamie Vardy save late on. It was ruled out for an offside afterwards.
Yeah, it was.
What a save. It's like 3 yards out and he gets a leg down, gets the save. Brilliant. Whenever he's called upon, he just performs for Newcastle. Such a brilliant goalkeeper. Yeah, definitely give him a 9. Distribution, very, very good. Made some routine saves, but made them really well. There's one from Ndidi, I think it was, where it looped and it was really close to goal and it landed right in front of him. Not an easy take, but just made it look effortless. Very, very good. Well organised, well marshalled, good saves. The one from Daka as well that we talked about before.
Yeah.
That Leicester fans thought it was a penalty. Just two big moments there that could change the game. That could be 3-2. Different story. He makes the saves, makes it difficult for them. 9 for me, spot on.
That's fair call.
Definitely. Captain Trippier, outstanding. Give Trippier a 9.5. I told you they're going to be high. 9.5 for me. He gets the assist from the corner from Joe Linton, but just marshals everything so well. I tell you what. One player we haven't talked about from a Leicester perspective that I thought would be a real menace, and he wasn't yesterday, was Harvey Barnes. And the biggest reason for that was because of Kieran Trippier. Just used all of his quality and his experience to stop him getting at you. Harvey Barnes loves to get the ball and just run at you and be very, very direct. He didn't get an absolute moment, a second to do that under Kieran Trippier. You know what? Even when he did, that man in the picture there, Miguel Almiron, just came in, swooped in, and covered him nicely. They've got such a great partnership there. But Kieran Trippier, 9.5, superb performance. As well as that, Fabian Schär, have to give. I've got to give him a 9 for his performance. Clean sheet, absolute rock solid at the back. Great distribution with the ball. Really, really solid in possession. Just even when Botman was kind of slightly out of position, Shaw would come up and clean up, and vice versa. If Shaw was out of position, Botman would do the same. And I'm going to give Botman a 9.5. And the reason why I'm giving him a 9.5 is the fact that he bullied Patson Daka to the point where he had to get substituted, as well as that, the clearance off the line, as well as that. I don't know if I think it was on the highlights, but you guys would have seen it in the chat where Patson Daka's in on goal and Botman has to make up like at least 7-8 yards behind him, gets back in, muscles him off the ball, wins it back in just as he's about to shoot. Just those moments are absolutely what makes Sven Botman a top elite level centre-back, because not many centre-backs will get back in and defend the way that he did. Outstanding. So 9.5 for Botman for me. Dan Burn, I tell you what, there was at one point in the game, Daz, I'm just going to run through these. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, no, you work away.
There was at one point in the game with Dan Burn, he was the highest player up the pitch. He was playing, he got the ball as a striker, was running at 4 defenders. And we were just, all the fans were just going, go for it. This is the first half. This is in the first half. It was just like, what are we seeing here? We're seeing Dan Burn start a counter-attack. But as a defensive unit, he put Perez on the floor a few times, which got a few cheers from the Newcastle end. Just very efficient, just really, really good. 9 for me for Dan Burn. Bruno Guimaraes for me is my man of the match. An absolute 10-star performance. Outstanding, honestly. The boy, he looked like he came back ready to prove a point after the World Cup.
I think
he really, really did. And he was hard done by. We've talked about it on our personal chat. He should have had more minutes for Brazil. And I think if he'd have had regular minutes, he would have performed even better than he did, and he would have helped Brazil progress further. There's no doubt.
I think Pete,
Go on,
He will.
Dash.
He will when Brazil are going to change manager thing. Because even talk of Mourinho either doing Roma and either doing the Portugal job or the Brazil job part time. But that could be a pipe dream as well. But whoever they do bring in, they have to realize that Bruno is the man you want in the middle. Look what he's doing for his club. Has him second in the league, him and a few more. But he has to be a mainstay in that Brazil squad, and he'll definitely be the key figure going into the next World Cup for them. I would imagine.
100%. And he's come back, and you know what? I think all the tweets that he's put out after the game, honestly, you would have seen the clip, but I had to double take live. On the halfway line, I think it was Drewsbury Hall. He's got him blocked a ball down the line. It was like in the 80-something minute, and he just gets up and he's like, "Come on!" And honestly, the fans just reacted. We cheered like we'd scored when he did that. Like our reaction to him doing that, it meant so much. Honestly, it meant so much to us, to me personally, but to everyone else in the away end and everyone else that was watching live. It would have meant so much to us all because it just shows how much he cares. It shows how much he cares, not just about himself personally, but about the team, about the club, about us winning matches. Every tackle, every pass, every goal means everything to him. And that in that moment, even Drewsbury Hall, I think, looks at him as just to say, like what's happened? But it just means so much. And my mates, and bless them, I grew up with them, but they're Leicester fans. They left early, but the one thing that they said about us when I got a message from one of the lads later on is that your heart and desire of your players far outweighs anything that we offered in that game as Leicester players. That's what he said to me, is that our heart and desire for every ball, every tackle, every pass, every goal, everything that we did, and it was epitomised by Bruno Guimaraes. Now,
just before you leave that, that's the kind of stuff I like as well. It's just that little, I'm going to call it passion. And that's what Bruno has, and that's why we love him. That's why we have so many songs about him already. That's why he's on most of the jerseys that are sold. He's just unbelievable. But I'm just gonna let you carry on, Pete, from where you left off. There's a fella in the chat there he's giving you a bit of a hint when he comes forward. So just remember that. But back to where you were.
Should I jump to Mr. Wood straight away, or should I go?
You can.
I'll come to Chris Wood. I'm not going to tell you mine and Rice's reaction to when we found out Chris Wood was starting. It wasn't positive because we'd anticipated that Wilson was going to start. But I was hugely impressed with Chris Wood. Yes, he scored the penalty. Great penalty. Both myself and you, Daz, have touched on it already. But his striker's play yesterday was a big reason on why we won the game. He was absolutely fantastic. Knocked down headers that were just like pumped up to him by Shaw or Botman or Pope, but not just bringing them down and finding a player. Hold up play, big and strong, chasing everything in and behind. Defensively, honestly, there was a point in the second half where Murphy goes off on a tangent. I think Murphy's playing on the right hand side at this point. And he goes off on a tangent and he chases. Murphy's pressing the ball, and him and Maxi, I think, are pressing the ball really high up. Brilliant intensity and press work. But then Leicester break out, and there's a gap on the right hand side that's vacated by Murphy. What does Wood do? He just goes and sits back in there, and he tracks the player all the way back to the 18-yard box. And I said to Rice next to me, I said, that's why Wood isn't going anywhere for Newcastle United, because he does stuff like that. And when you've got a team that's successful, you need players like that. You go back in any team that's successful, you go back into the Man Uniteds and the Arsenals in the 90s. You go back to the Chelseas in the 2000s. right? You go back to the Man Cities in the 2012 or whatever, whenever they won the league. They would have always had players that did those type of roles. They did those workman-like roles that weren't really talked about, but did a role when asked for. Chris Wood did that, and he was absolutely brilliant yesterday. Honestly, I can't fault the lad. For me, he gets a 9.5. He scored a goal. He was absolutely brilliant in his performance. For me, overall, Bruno shades him for his overall performance over the 90-odd minutes. But Chris Wood, you know what? He definitely earned his $100,000 a week yesterday. So I cannot complain with one iota. And you know what?
Leads us, Pete, to one of the questions. And no, it's great to hear that you're a big Chris Wood up there. I as I said, I haven't seen the full game, so but I take what you lads are saying, and yourself and Jordan, that he had a brilliant game for us, and great. That's what we want. Long may that continue with Chris Wood, and he's more than welcome to stay. There is a question here from David R. I know you've seen it already, but I'm going to put up, but I'm sure it's one that Jordan will probably put towards Eddie Howe the next press conference as well. But it's actually directed towards you, Pete. Does he deserve a pay rise, Chris Wood?
No, I think even I say even Chris Wood would maybe agree with it, but maybe he wouldn't. I think he's come on, Jordan. I gave him 9.5, man. Come on, you're killing me now. You're killing me. But no, from an honest point of view, look, I think he's very happy with his wage right now. I don't think he wants to go anywhere else other than Newcastle United. I think he's loving his time there. And you know what? The interview with him and Bruno afterwards, you can tell that every single player, including Bruno, they love him. They absolutely love him. He's one of them. You know, like we talk about Matt Ritchie, and we think, well, why haven't they gone yet? Like they're not playing, they're not doing anything, but they prove that they've got something in the dressing room.
I get that.
Together. And I think Chris Wood, although Chris Wood is contributing a hell of a lot more than Matt Ritchie, for example, and I'm sure we'll get onto Matt Ritchie in a second, but Chris Wood, he seems like a really nice, genuine, likable guy in the changing room. And when he puts performances in like that, and you see the players get around him and really show that level of support, it's a team spirit that you just don't want to break up. Yes, he might not be everyone's first choice. Yes, is he going to start every week? No, but if he's happy not starting every week and coming on and playing like that when a Wilson or an Isak are injured, I can't argue with that. I can't argue with it.
Oh, and that is fair enough, Pete. You mentioned Richie, and I saw. I think it was at the very, very start. Someone had a question on, and was that a goodbye kind of appearance from Richie coming on? Could well be. I think it's fair enough this season that we have the likes of Richie and Domit in there for the dressing room, and I call them mascots, but I think as we go into next year, we know we're going to be in Europe next year. We're going to need players. The players that we have on the bench and in the squad have to be players that we can throw on through a game from the start. And when we see a team sheet, we're not going panicking when we see them like they have to be. No, they'll do a job, and at least it'll free up someone else to get a bit of rest, and they'll come in the next day because we're going to have so many games. So that's into next season. No point worrying about this season. So we do need a shake up come the summer and clear the decks a bit. It'll happen for a while yet. This is a project. It's going to take a bit of time to get through. Pete, back to your ratings. I think you left off with Bruno, who you give man the match up, but you were going to move on to for the player we've talked about potentially getting to the England squad in the future. Is he still at that level?
You literally read my mind. You read my mind. Honestly, Sean Longstaff, unsung hero, outstanding yesterday. Honestly, the boy is, for me, I don't know what you think, Daz. I don't know what anyone else in the chat thinks. Anyone else that watches this back, put it in the comments what you think about my comments on Sean Longstaff from this point. I think that Sean Longstaff is playing better than he did under his spell under Rafa Benitez. I think now he's playing better than that. Now, you could argue he's not scoring as many goals, but he's playing a very different position. He's playing more of a number 10, getting forward, getting into the box under Rafa Benitez. He's playing more of a defensive, that number 6 role, and kind of to and fro with Bruno Guimaraes within that. He's playing a different role. But for me, personally, I think he's playing at that level now, which says to me that he is not too far away, providing he can continue this. If he can continue this up until March, I think he's got a genuine chance of getting into the England squad. I really do.
Yeah.
England will look in a new direction for a number of players. When you hear of, and I was surprised to hear this, I don't know if you know this, Daz, apparently Calvin Phillips returned to Man City overweight from the World Cup. And so he's not allowed to be part of selection. I heard this. I was shocked when I found that out. But when you've got a player like him, yes, he's at Man City, but not performing and then not looking after himself like that, and you've got Sean Longstaff doing what he's doing, the unsung, dirty stuff on the pitch that makes the rest of the team play. For me, unsung hero. The guy covers every single blade of grass. And you know what? We've talked about this. Chris has mentioned it before. Martin's mentioned it. You've mentioned it, Daz. And we've all talked about it over the course of the summer. Me and Richie mentioned it in the summer as well. We do need a number 6. We do need a number 6. But I tell you what, it needs to be a number 6 that can do the stuff that Sean Longstaff's doing. Cover every blade of grass, solid in a tackle, cover Bruno Guimaraes or a Joe Linton or a Joe Willock when they get forward and try and attack, and then we get hit on the counter. He does it all. Honestly, it was such a pleasure to watch him, and he put such a good performance in again at Leicester, and he's just proving that with regular game time, he can get back to the level that he was at under Rafa Benitez, and I think he's starting to exceed that now. I don't know what you think, Daz.
No, I think as well. Now, of course, I didn't see the full game yesterday, but no, we called it back a couple of weeks ago, if not months ago now, that he's someone that should look at, and they should give him a cap. I think just the way he's been performing, he does deserve a run out, and he's been immense for us. So delighted we didn't sell him on to Everton for something like 2 million back then, and it's great to see him. Playing as well these days. But we have a bit of an exclusive as well from our man in the chat. Breaking news there from Mr. Jordan Cronin that people are commenting on is, and he says, a story for you. Jason Mad Dog Tyndall pointed at the bench for Richie to come on, and he said, "What? Me?" So interesting that one. So Richie didn't even think he was coming on.
Well, there you go. So it's like, and does that feed into maybe a bit of a swan song, a goodbye, giving him a last sort of appearance for Newcastle? For once though, and I know Bruno Guimaraes has stolen the song, but actually the Matt Ritchie song.
Yes,
Magic song was sang when he came onto the pitch and at the end of the game. So there was a mutual respect there and an acknowledgement that it could potentially be his last game. And I think the fans wanted to let him know that we appreciate everything that he's done, because we do. He's been massive.
Oh, he has been a great servant, especially in those early years, for sure. And he did dig us out as well in the Bruce era to keep us up in that season. That Bruce did keep us up. But but he does need a move just to finish out his career and getting game time lower down the leagues. But fair play. Back to.
I was going to say, William Smith and Steve Ingram have mentioned that Longstaff is either not a number 6, or Steve Ingram has put Bruno's on number 6, and you're absolutely right. Bruno does start. His starting position is our number 6, but this is why I love Sean Longstaff a lot, because Bruno Guimaraes at times is venturing forward. He's the number 6, but he's pressing highest up the. Pardon me, he's pressing highest up the pitch. But Sean Longstaff just understands, and he just sits back in and he just protects that role until Bruno gets back in, and then he pushes forward. We need someone that's got that level of understanding. I think I mentioned it when I went to the Burnley game, last game of the season, and I said their fluidity and how they understand each other on the pitch is so good. It's coming to fruition now. So you're absolutely right in what you're saying. Bruno is our number 6, but what Sean Longstaff does in a game that doesn't always get recognised is massive, and he is without doubt the unsung hero. Sorry, Daz.
No, don't be sorry, because we're back to you again, Pete, and we're back on the ratings where you left off. So you left off on Longstaff. So let's see who's up next for you. It's Joe Willock.
Joe Willett, yeah, for me, Joe Willett was a 9. Honestly, his again tireless work and pressing high up the pitch is absolutely fantastic. It would have been capped off perfectly if it had been able to be in a position to get a goal, but he didn't really get an opportunity, a clear shot on goal. But what he does, his work rate, his ability to get forward and link the play, but more importantly, he just breaks up so much going forward. He stops so many players playing. I think he had a little bit of a to-do with Tielemans in the first half, because Tielemans was getting really frustrated that Willock was just not giving him any time on the ball. And I think he might have left a foot in, a little bit of a cheeky one. And Willock, I was surprised by it, but I was pleased with it. He goes back to Tielemans and he stands up to him and kind of gives him a little bit of a shove, as if to say, what you doing? And that showed Tielemans that Willock's not there to just be dominated. He can stand his ground, and he really let that Leicester midfield know that they were going to be in for a game today. And they again, very, very good, Willock. So 9 for me. Miguel Almiron, again, superb at 9.5. Got his goal. His ability is just unbelievable. We knew he was fast. We knew he would cover every blade of ground, on the pitch. But for me, you've got somebody that is now putting the finishing touches on, and scoring goals and making magical moments. How many goals can he get this season? He's on 9 already. He's bound to get double figures this season, which for Miguel Almiron, it's already been talked about the stats. He scored 9 in, 9 in sort of like 16 this season.
It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, before this season, it was 9 in 100 and something appearances. So he's already he's already kind of got the same amount in 16 than he did in 100 appearances before that. How many goals can you realistically see Miguel Almiron getting this season?
3. Because he's blown my expectations wide out of the water. Because we've said it a number of times, we had given up on him to a degree. It was not working for him. He was played out of position with Bruce, and he was kind of taking the ball up from our penalty box and trying to get all the way through and losing it at times. But I didn't even expect this from him when we signed him first. He just has amazed me, and we harp on about the transformation of Joelinton under Eddie Howe, but my God, Miggy's another level again. If you think about it, Howe just saw that Joelinton could play in a different position. He might be suited to that kind of centre midfield role, and it just turned out in that Norwich game that it worked. But Miggy is just, no one saw that coming. It's just amazing, even with the talk of Cody Gakpo. I know he would play on the opposite side, but he probably wouldn't even get in our team the way if he was to play in Miggy's position. Let's say he would. No one's getting rid of Miggy in that form. Even if we bought a £75 million player, Miggy's staying. And get him signed up for a contract. He deserves it after what he's done this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Champions League next year. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking when I saw that goal going in. I wonder what he can do in the Champions League. But
you're absolutely right, Dad. You're absolutely right. And why not think about that as his next step? But you'll remember really well, Daz. In January, when we signed Bruno Guimaraes, he didn't get straight in. Shelby kept playing because Shelby was having a great season. He eventually got in, but that'll be the message to any signing, is that, you know, we want you and we want you as part of the squad, but you've got to earn your place in the team.
Yeah.
You've got to earn your place and get back in. You can't walk back in. John Joe Shelby proved the case when he got back fit. He's now out for 8 weeks again, 6 to 8 weeks. So does that mean we get another signing in because of the length of time that he's out? Who knows? Can we trust his injury record? Who knows? It's one of them that I think we'll talk about on the Fully Loaded Transfer Show, no doubt. But
yeah, and just linked into that, Peter, and I, from what I saw of Jordan Smith, Craig Hope, and his YouTube channel, he had a bit about there's still, you know how Shelby was like 2 games away from the contract extension thing. I don't think that has came true yet. It hasn't landed on his he either hasn't still got to the games, or there's something more to the story than that. So I'm thinking now, if he doesn't come back and anytime soon, and if we bring in someone else, or will he get the games? Could like, and it is a pity because he was playing really well in the last season, and he was in the summer. He was, you're looking forward to seeing him, what he could do in the Premier League this season, because he looked really up for it, and it's just unfortunate that injury that he got. So, but I think Eddie Howe does have a soft spot for him, that he says that no one else can do what he can do. So I think he will eventually get that contract extension, and he will be a good squad player first. But it's just unfortunate.
I think you're absolutely right, Daz, and I think that he will get the contract extension with the acknowledgement that he won't be a guaranteed starter. Yeah. So we'll give you the contract extension. However, we're going to be bringing players in. You've got to fight for your place. If he might end up, not being disrespectful here, he might end up being a Matt Ritchie. Yeah, where he doesn't play a lot of football because we bring another player in that can do the job better than him, maybe more mobile, younger, fresher, and we bring that player in, and it might be that when there's an injury or whatever, we bring him on and we know what he can do and he comes on. Is he going to be happy with that? Well, that's down to John Joe Shelby. Does he want to spend the next 3 or 4 years of his remaining career, you know, playing regularly? Because if he is, he's probably going to have to drop down to the bottom half of the Premier League, eventually into the Championship. Or is he wanting to ride the wave of Newcastle? Is he wanting to he knows maybe that this is the last big step for him in terms of a club that can be fighting in Europe. He might get European appearances next season. Who knows? Does he acknowledge that that's his last big step for a team playing European football or challenging at this end? And does he want to hang on to that? That will be the question mark for me of what he wants to do. And that would depend on whether he goes or stays.
Yeah, and you know, and I think he'll understand that as well. Like because he has seen it with his good friend, I'm sure, Matt Ritchie, and I think he would probably play a bit more than Matt Ritchie. But as time goes on, maybe next year he'd play a bit more, but the year after that he wouldn't if his contract was out that one. And I suppose then he could have the option as well, if maybe it would suit him that first year, then he could look to move. Then he could always request a move after that, but why not stick with it and be a squad player as well? And I think he could become useful for us into this year and into next season. But let's move on to the next player, J7.
Yeah, last one. So J7, 9.5 for me. Again, outstanding performance from J7. Eddie Howe said it in his press conference or his interview after the game on Amazon. He said, I don't think he's met or managed a stronger player physically than Joe Linton. The guy is an absolute, he's a brick wall. You just can't get anything from him. He was, honestly, the Leicester midfielders were bouncing off him yesterday. Literally bouncing. They didn't know what day they were in because he was just all over the place. And he gets his goal, which is a well taken goal, a bullet header. Reminded me a little bit of the Brentford goal that he scored away last season, albeit it wasn't from a corner, but it just a bullet header. And he just gets around the pitch, and he's so solid with the ball, and he runs and he pushes teams backwards. And what I love about him, and this is a big plus to him and Joe Willock, is that they've got a real brilliant, their understanding of that left-hand side. So Joe Linton starts as the left hand of the front three, as the left attacking midfielder. And Joe Willock starts as the number 8 on the left-hand side. But the interchanging throughout the game is just so seamless. There's just like that telepathy of understanding that 1 minute Joe Linton's making that run down that left attacking midfield. The next minute, Willock's doing the same. And we've got the ability that Joe Linton could just sit in and do that number 8 role and let Joe Willock get forward and vice versa. And it just makes for such an organised team. It doesn't matter where the ball lands or whoever's got the ball, they know their positions and they know what they need to do, whether they're attacking midfield on the left or as a number 8. It's just brilliant. And Joe Linton epitomises everything of Newcastle. I talked about Bruno Guimaraes and his celebration, is loving of the
tackle.
Of the tackle. But after the game, honestly, I don't know whether they're showing it on Amazon Prime, but when we were obviously in the away end and they come over to us, the 2 players that start off the huge cheers from the fans, Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes. Not English players, not players that know the area or the club, but they're the ones that set the standard. And they come up to us and they're giving it this and they're getting the fans going and they're just showing all that love. That the first 2 to take their tops off, to put into the crowd. Joe Linton
controversial
understands it. What's that?
It's a big. I see in the chat. There is a story going on. We won't take sides, but there is a story where the took away the shirt. Yeah, but look at. Yeah, it is poor. We don't know the background to it. But.
Every single player that came up, because once Bruno and Joe Linton did the same, you had Nick Pope that came and did the same. You had Fabian Shaw that came and did the same. Kieran Trippier never does it, but even he did it in the game. After the game, he came and took his top off, gave it to one of the fans. There was a number of players that did it. But every single player pointed to the person that they wanted to give it to. Yeah. And it was either someone from the disabled area or it was a young child. It was someone that they'd pinpointed. And the fact that someone's trying to nick that, I just think it's really disrespectful because the players have given it to someone particular. So they should allow that person to have it because they've singled that person out. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And that's why sometimes they cross the hoardings and hand it directly to the person, or pick the child up and put them on the pitch to get the shirt.
The stewards wouldn't allow it though. Even when Bruno first came over, there was a female steward that was trying to stop him going into.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
She was like trying to stop him from doing that, and he just kind of ignored it because he wanted to acknowledge the fans. It was just not great, not great.
Yeah. Look, you'll have that. Everyone is just emotional as well at the match and stuff. The result like that. Maybe we'll go to some questions, Pete. There's about 26 things started. Where do we start? But before we do, because we, as always, Pete, we always forget this bit. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're there's 267 people in the chat now. Make sure if you haven't hit that like button already, hit it now. If you're new to the channel and you're just tuning in for the first time, hit the subscribe button and I think someone asked the question, how far are we away from the first game? Not that far. I think we're about 120 or something off it. So and we have shows coming up and a big one. If we get that victory over Leeds, our reaction show will land on New Year's Eve. And that promises to be some session. Party Marty might be back for that one. And if Chris has sobered up,
3 points.
Right, what have we got in the questions? Let's go to this one straight away.
I was about to click exactly the same one.
Well, you know, we should probably just do, because it's been like we've been on YouTube for a good while now and loaded and on UFC Matters. Maybe we should do our history of being a Newcastle fan. But question for you lads: why is Newcastle so close to your heart? Well, my story is, I'll keep it very quick. My story is I followed Newcastle from when I was 11 years old. Read the article about Kevin Keegan coming back to save Newcastle from relegation, and then the story of him as a player taking off the helicopter, and things like that just kind of settled to you as a kid. And that's my team. And for then they got up the next season. He saved them from relegation. The next season they got promoted then from, I think it was the first division, into what was then the starting of the Premier League. And from then on, for me, that was Newcastle for me. So I have a few more different stories as well about my younger days as a Newcastle fan, but I'll keep that for our other show. Well, Pete, for you, why is Newcastle so close to your heart?
So I'm just laughing at Jordan's comment. Jordan's first part. I've liked and subscribed. I really like them shows with Jordan Cronin. Should get him on more often.
Hey, he can come on whenever he wants.
Jordan, you know you got
come on now.
You come on whenever you want, mate. Always welcome. He knows this. But why Newcastle close to my heart? Being honest, World Cup 1990, watched it, but not really with any intent. The first game I really watched of any really intent was the game in which Newcastle beat Leicester, funny enough, to get promoted to the Premier League. And it was only by chance. I've said this story many a times, only by chance. My dad put the TV on, and I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, who's this team in black and white? Just destroying this team in blue. And my dad, obviously being based in Leicester, was supporting Leicester at the time and was absolutely distraught. And I'm there just fascinated. And to be honest, it was Andy Cole. I think Andy Cole scored a hat-trick that game. And Andy Cole was the one player that stood out. And I thought, wow, I need to see more of this. And just kept watching. And I was very, very lucky because I've talked about it before. My brother Lee, he comes on for the transfer show. He's a big reason why I support Newcastle, because I was too young to go to games myself. 8, 9 years old, and he was a little bit older than me, and he would take me to games. And he would allow me to go and watch Newcastle. And he still follows Newcastle now. He only just missed out on getting a ticket from coming to the game yesterday. And that's my story, really, for the Newcastle United ever since. Up and down the country, European games, I'll try as much as I can to get to watch Newcastle. But because I'm not in Newcastle, I don't get to see as many games as I would like. Obviously, with a family and responsibilities, as yourself, Daz, being over in Ireland, so it's even harder for you to get over. It's not always easy, but we do what we can to watch Newcastle, and we just love the club.
Yeah, maybe that's something a show for us to do sometime, kind of a background show, because apart from Richie's the only one that's actually based in Newcastle. We all have our own story there, so maybe we could do something on that, or even half a show on it. But look, I know we're running out of time, Pete. There's loads of action going on in your house there in the background. But just a few things I'll touch on. Russ says, how many times did you watch the Miggy goal today? Lots, and the build-up play. Peter mentions about Madison coming. That's one for fully loaded transfer show, I'm sure. A shout out to Ray actually as well. Thanks for the super sticker, Ray, and keep ringing that bell, mate. And of course, Ray is you'll always see him in our Waylays t-shirt. We stick up on the screen as well. Also shout out to Ian as well for. He's always in the chat. Darlington fan, and but always in the chat. He has a tenner on Newcastle to win the league at 28-1. So hope that comes in for you, Ian. We'll pick out one question, I think, because we're going to run out of time. There's so many good questions. Look, I'm going to go for this one. So I want to know if you know more about this, Pete, yourself. This Enzo. the guy from Argentina, and this 88 million pound bid, and there's talk of I see more and more people kind of getting involved in the discussion on him. I don't think we're getting anywhere near him, but do you think we're going to get anywhere near him? And they're saying that Benfica want to sell him now in January, and wonder what price would be acceptable. I don't think it.
Just really quickly on this, I saw from the Liverpool perspective, there was some well-followed channels that were, or accounts that were coming out on social media today saying that apparently we were the team that bidded for Fernandes and that we're looking at going back in again. How they know that, I have no idea. But it seems like they seem to think that we're the ones that are going all out for Fernandes. Look, I think it's about, what is it? I think it's about 78, 79 million it would take to buy out his contract, which is like 100 million euros, 107 million euros. It's like 78, 79 million or something like that. It works out to the difference. Do I think we'll get him? No, I don't think so. Can we afford him? Of course we can. I don't think we'll get him, just because I think he'll be looking at going to that already established big club that are regularly playing Champions League football. But is it great being in that conversation? Of course.
It sure is. Just to answer Mag debates, is Wilson injured again? No, it was meant to be just illness.
Yeah.
And he should be back for the Leeds game.
Yeah.
Right, look, I'm going to leave it there in the questions because we're going to run through, because I know someone's asking about the Turan brothers as well. Look, Fully Loaded Transfer Show, we'll cover all that. So tune in to that.
Just got an update. Thursday. Fully Loaded Transfer Show. We have, can we say who we've got on?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yep, we've had him on a number of times, but 90 Minutes own Graham Bailey, very excited to come back on and talk all things Newcastle. He's got a couple of stories that he's ready to put out and already put out that he wants to discuss a little bit on the show. So I think the Turan brothers are part of that conversation. Get your questions in for Graham and all things transfers in Newcastle United. He'll be joining us on Thursday at 7:30. So we'll be kicking off Thursday 7:30. He only confirmed with me literally about 20 minutes before we went live. So so that's why I'm glad to let you know.
We're doing this, our conversation, our planning live here, Pete. Well, when is the away days then?
Okay, so away days has now switched. So great, really glad that you mentioned that, Daz, because I've spoken to Joe from the football show. We will be on Friday at 6:45. So it'll be a slightly earlier show. 6:45 start, away days. Really looking forward to having Joe on. We've never had a Leeds fan or a Leeds channel on away days. This is the first time. It's really difficult to get hold of one. Massive thanks to Richie, because Richie knows Joe, been on a show in a channel with him before. So big thanks to Richie for sorting that out. But we've got Joe on 6:45 on Friday. He's already putting his predicted teammate together. He is worried about the game against Man City that they play tomorrow, and they have a lot less recovery time before they come to St. James. That is a concern for him, and we're going to get into all of that and the potential. So that's Friday 6:45.
And then that leads us then on Saturday. The game is obviously on Saturday. They'll be wrecked after playing Man City. But we'll take them on, and we will go on New Year's Eve at 8 o'clock. I think it was the time we have said, but we will be back for the reaction show. And that will be, if we get a win there, that'll be some piss up. So tune in for that one and make sure you have your drinks at hand. I'm ditching the water for that night. Should be a good one. So that is New Year's Eve. So that takes us up to where the next little bit coming unloaded. Make sure, if you haven't done so already and on your way out, you hit that like button. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button. That is it from us. That was the loaded reaction. And thanks to everyone in the chat. Sorry we didn't get all the questions. Pete has to go host a party now. I wonder what the topic of conversation will be in that party.
Well, I've got someone that does. I've got a guy that's coming that doesn't really follow football. He's a rugby fan, but I've got someone that's come around that's a Man United fan. That will be an interesting conversation. He'll be arriving any second. Yes, and we'll show him that. And from what it looks like there, it looks like he's top of the league. So he'll be happy with that. But then when he sees that, it'll be a different conversation. Exactly. So that'll be an interesting topic. But just to keep an eye out. We will be doing an Arsenal away days, and I've said to Daz, we're looking at planning something big for that one. So fingers crossed it all works out, because if we do, it should be an absolute cracker, and it should be a massive game in itself. But for what we've got planned for away days and the potential guests that could be coming on, could be a big one.
Big one. I want to talk to you about more about that one. Look at good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be back very soon. Hit the subscribe button. See you soon. Bye bye.
I wish you a very good Christmas, and I think you are not ready for what's coming, so be ready, guys.